who Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam were. So about Imam Sahib, I don't know how to cut a better promo than that. I don't know how to cut it better. So without any delay, I'd like to pull our honored Imam Sahib up so he can explain the life of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam to us. Pay great attention and without any further delay, Nare Takbir, Nare Risalat, Nare Hedri, Ulamaya Ahle Sunnat.
Sit down. Sit down.
Yeah, that's perfect. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. Most honorable, respected Imam Khalil, fellow teachers, students of knowledge, and brothers in Islam, alongside the viewers who have joined us today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Is it okay? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Right. We'll go with this look for now. We'll see what it takes us, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, it's a great honor to be here today. Given an opportunity to speak to you youngsters, alhamdulillah. Imam Khalil, mashallah, he's a good friend of mine. I've had the honor of spending 7 to 8 years studying with his elder brother. We spent a lot of time together in Jami al-Karam, alhamdulillah. I spent a year or so in Egypt with his brother Sayyidah Mariam. Mashallah, beautiful brothers. So when Khalil called me and said to me that we want you to come and speak on this topic, it was a great honor for me, alhamdulillah. I was very pleased. Actually, we nearly had a close shock. I wasn't feeling well the entire week, so I decided to get a test done for COVID actually on Thursday. And I was thinking the worst could happen, maybe Friday I'd call Khalil and let him know I can't make it today. And he's probably thinking, why are you saying this? But alhamdulillah, I came back negative, no problems, just the season change. So alhamdulillah, very, very, very happy that I've managed to meet you guys today. Inshallah, today I'm going to try my best to keep it as simple and brief as I can, alongside making it relevant to the youth as much as possible, but also keeping in mind that there may be others who are a bit elder who are also looking for a bit more technicalities, a bit more detail, inshallah. So I will try my best to cover all grounds of this story, or this qissa of Isa alayhi salam. So often in our lives, generally every person has somewhat of a role model. Okay? Every person has somewhat of a role model. And if I was to say to you guys today that put your hand up, and I want to see a show of hands, inshallah. Put your hand up if you love Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Put your hand up if you love him. If you love him, put your hand up. You love Rasulullah? Khair. Okay. Which one from amongst you loves Isa alayhi salam? If you love him, put your hand up. Okay. Do you love Adam, the first messenger? If you love him, put your hand up. Do you love Musa? Do you love Nuh, Yusuf, Ayub, Zakaria? Do you love these messengers? Yes. I certainly love them. So when people ask us, who are your role models? Generally, depending on who we sat in front of, we'll try to come with an Islamic approach that the Prophet ﷺ is my role model. Okay? But in reality, if you ask people today that if the Messenger ﷺ, or if Isa was your role model, or if Nuh was your role model, or Salih, or Hud, whichever messenger, if they were truly your role model, then you'd be able to tell me something about them today. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean? I mean today, if I said to you, or youngsters, if I said to you today that Cristiano Ronaldo has joined Manchester United, there's many Manchester United fans here, okay? How many goals has he scored in the Champions League this season? You know, if you're a true United supporter, you'll stand up and say, Ustad Sahab, Imam Sahab, he scored 11 in the Champions League. He scored 1 against Villarreal and he helped them win the game. United are doing awful this season, but he's saving them. That's what you tell me. You know, for those of you who are Liverpool fans, and I say to you, Muhammad Salah, what has he done this season? You're going to say, Waji, 22 goals. And he's smashing it. That's your role model. But if I was to say to you that how many sons did the Prophet ﷺ have? How many of us would be able to tell me? If I say how many wives did the Prophet have? How many daughters did the Prophet have? How many battles did the Prophet ﷺ take part in? What was the message of the Prophet ﷺ? It's easy for us to say that the Prophet ﷺ or Isa or Nuh or whichever Prophet is our role model. But in reality, not so much, is it? So, although I have started with this, what I want to say is that what's amazing is that we've all taken a step today to attend the masjid, to learn something about Isa alayhi salam. And truly, for somebody to be your role model, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Messi, whether it's Muhammad Salah, in order for that person to become your role model, you must know something about them. For example, why is Ronaldo your role model? And someone might say, I love Ronaldo's discipline. Why? What's so disciplined about him? Ronaldo, he doesn't drink coke. Okay? He exercises regularly. He takes naps. He's got great work ethic. He works hard. He scores lots of goals. That's why he's my role model. But if I say, why is Muhammad your role model? You won't be able to say. So truly, in order to have somebody as a pinnacle and a peak point for you, and someone who you put as a centerpiece in your life, you need to know something about them. So that's why we're here today, to learn something about Isa alayhi salam. So inshallah, I'm hoping by the end of this speech, we've all taken something from the life of Isa alayhi salam, and we're going to take that and we're going to learn to love that about Isa alayhi salam, and we're going to make him our role model, inshallah. So you can only truly make somebody your role model if you love that person. How can you love that person? You learn about that person. You get knowledge about that person. And that's the maqsad. And I'd like to say Mubarak to everyone that you have come today and you've attended the masjid in order to gain this, in order to learn to love Isa alayhi salam. So, as Imam Khalil was mentioning before, that what role does Isa alayhi salam play in the life of a Muslim? And I think the best way to sort of set this picture for you is that the Prophet ﷺ mentions himself, and we are all followers of the Rasul, he mentions himself that I am the closest person to Isa. I am the closest person to Isa. And what did he mean? He meant in terms of prophethood. There was no prophet that came after Isa alayhi salam and the Prophet ﷺ. And according to some Mufassirin, they mentioned that there was about 600 years between the two prophets. And not only that, to further show you how important Isa alayhi salam, so the Christians, they make Isa alayhi salam for them, and that's it. But for us, all of the prophets are important as each other. Whether it's Nuh, whether it's Muhammad, whether it's Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, whichever prophet. And how do we explain this? When Isa alayhi salam, whom we believe is to return, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam has a space left for him. And where is this space? This is next to him, that when he will pass away, he will be buried next to the Prophet ﷺ. So such is the maqam of Isa alayhi salam for us. Such is the maqam of Isa alayhi salam for us, and how important he is in our lives. So, in order to take you on this journey today, inshallah, and to paint this picture for you, what did Isa alayhi salam go through? what was the birth of Isa alayhi salam, in order to truly understand what Isa alayhi salam felt as he was growing up, as he was living his life, and what the emotions that Maryam alayhi salam was going through, you need to realize before we start, what was the state of the town, what was the state of the city before Isa alayhi salam was born? What was the situation, what was the area like before Isa alayhi salam came? Because when messengers are sent, they're not sent to just, come down here, do a few things. They're sent to preach the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are sent to preach about Islam, meaning the Islam of that time. So at that time, in Jerusalem, in Palestine as we know today, you had a kingdom at the very top, okay? And you had a king at the top, a ruler. And underneath this king, you had semi-independent kingdoms. And what does that mean? That means you have one king at the top, and you have groups of people who govern themselves. So you have the king at the top, and he doesn't say much to everyone. He just collects taxes, he just collects payments, make sure you don't go against the overall rule. And you have your own groups, and between you, you can have your own set of rules that you must abide by. So you had a lot of semi-independent kingdoms. And the issue was that a lot of messengers, as we've seen before, mentioned in the speech, were sent to the Bani Israel, like Musa alayhi salam was. And they had a particular nature about them that they didn't really like being ruled over. And some of the problems that they faced at that time was with a king known as King Herod. King Herod. And this king, what would he do? He was a good king in some sense, but he was also a very brutal king. And this king, he wasn't so much religious. So this king, he was moving away from the idea of the Torah. And I'll reintroduce this king at a later stage. But what he wanted to do to Jerusalem and to Palestine and the temple which we know today, and why the current war situation is going on, and the difficulties, is that he wanted to turn Palestine and Jerusalem into a touristy area. And he wanted to turn it into something which was more, okay, let's build some statues, let's put them over here and put them over there, and have people come here, we can get some revenue. That's the kind of mindset he was pushing forward. But what are the commonalities between us, the Jews and the Christians? It was monotheism. Monotheism meaning that we all believe in one God. Muslims believe in one God. Some Christians, most Christians rather, believe in one God. Likewise the Jews. But with this in mind, the Bani Israel were thinking to themselves now, and they were expecting that who is going to come and liberate us? Who is going to come and save us from this? That there's a king, he's really brutal, he's moving away from the oneness of Allah which Musa alayhi salam came and preached, and he's moving away from all of this mindset, and now he's trying to bring us away from the deen. So the Bani Israel are like, who is going to be the Messiah? And when I say Messiah, I don't mean, oh, Lionel Messi is going to come and save everyone and score a goal 90th minute. Okay, that's what I'm not talking about, the Messiah. The Messiah meaning who is going to come and he's going to liberate us, who's going to save us. Okay? So, you look at this verse, and this was at the time of the Bani Israel. And only a small group from amongst them, okay? There was a small community, and this community were following the teachings of Musa alayhi salam. So remember, you have the Bani Israel. And this Bani Israel, Musa alayhi salam was sent to them. So Musa alayhi salam was teaching them about the oneness of God. Okay, he was teaching them the correct beliefs. And only a small community, for example, the family of Imran, the family of Zakaria, whom we are going to speak about in further detail. There was only this small community who used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correctly. Only these guys had the correct beliefs, but the remaining of them, they never. So, with this in mind, and going back to, as I said, that Imam Khalil has briefly mentioned already, the mother of Maryam, the wife of Fir'aun, the wife of Imran. The wife of Imran, the mother of Maryam, whose name was Hannah. Her name was Hannah. She makes a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she makes a promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem. وَإِذْ قَالَتْ إِمْرَأَةُ إِمْرَانَ. And when the wife of Imran says, and when she mentions and she said, رَبِّي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. That, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I vow to you that if you give to me a child, I will place this child in your service, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she's asking Allah, if you give me a son, I'm going to give this child, Ya Allah, to you and in your worship. I'll place this child of mine into the masjid. I will place this child in such a way that he will be secluded and he will only do your ibadah, Allah, if you give me a child. And what happens? A child is born, but who is it? It's not a son, it's a daughter. It's Maryam, alayhi salam. So what does she do? Does she throw the child away? Does she say, okay, to hell with this child and throw the child away? No, she still sticks to her word. She's made the promise, Inni nazartu laka ma fi batni. So she's saying that I have made an oath to you, Allah. If you give me a child, yes, I want it to be a male. But even though it was a female child, it was Maryam alayhi salam, she devotes this child now towards this mission of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at that time, it wasn't necessarily masjids. It was more temples. But the concept was similar. So, the issue now was that we have Maryam alayhi salam who was born, and she is now going to be given in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, this is the promise of the mother of Maryam, who was Hannah. She made this promise, I'm going to devote my daughter in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they send her to the masjid, they send her to this temple. And what happens here is Zakaria, who at this time was a messenger. He is one of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem. And Zakaria, what does he do? He decides that he is going to build a place in this masjid which is secluded for her, as we will soon come to see. So, when Zakaria builds this place for Maryam alayhi salam, the next question is that if you're going to be staying in almost like a boarding school, so if you are in a boarding school today, if any of you go to a boarding school, okay, and you go to live away from home, your parents are not expecting that when you're living away from home that you're gonna have to get your own food, you're gonna get your own clothes. Imagine you went to boarding school tomorrow. No one gave you any central heating, no one gave you water, no one kept you warm, said here, live like a caveman. What are we gonna start doing? We're gonna start crying. Where are we going to get food from? We're going to go hunting. So somebody had to provide for Maryam alayhi salam. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Quran al-Kareem, وَكَفَّلَهَا ذَكَرِيَّ. And we made Zakaria the wakil. We made him the guardian of Maryam alayhi salam. Meaning he was the one who was going to provide now for Maryam alayhi salam. But how did it come to that? How did it come to that? You've got a woman now who is going to be dedicated in the cause of Allah. You know, generally when you have somebody going on a spiritual trip, for example, one of you boys, you turn around and you say to your dad, oh dad, I want to go and study at Islamic Institute tomorrow. I can guarantee you, your dad's brother tomorrow, meaning your uncle, your taya, your khala, your pupo, all of your aunties and uncles will come to your house and they'll give mubarak to your dad, and they'll say to your dad, they'll say to your dad, uncle, I want to help. Oh brother, I want to help you with this. And all they do, they'll give money towards your travels. They'll give money and they'll help you. They'll pack food for that child and they'll help them on the way. It means they want to help them. They want to serve this child. So everybody was feeling motivated. I want to assist Maryam alayhi salam. We never even got to Isa yet. I want to help Maryam alayhi salam. So they drew lots. And what does that mean? They drew lots. They drew lots means that, for example, okay, you have a TV at home, and you have a PlayStation connected to it. Okay, you're getting ready to play Call of Duty. Okay, you want to improve your KD. Your KD is 0.8. You need to get above 1. Your friends are ripping you. Yeah, Vanguard, the new Call of Duty. Okay, or Warzone with the new guns. You can't use the old guns anymore. We play as well. Don't worry. Okay, we play as well. My KD is 1.26 at the moment. I'm trying to improve, but I don't get time. Okay, so you've got this PlayStation and you're trying to play games. But the problem is that your mom and dad, they can't afford 3 PlayStations because of your 2 other brothers. So what does that mean? Is it fair that you play for 3 hours a day and your brothers don't play at all? Is that fair? You tell me, is that fair? If you went home today and your brother sat on the PlayStation for 3 hours, is that fair? And you didn't get to play? It's not fair, is it? So what's the fairest way? Either you have an hour each, or you draw lots. And drawing lots means that you take a chance. Meaning that it could be you, it could be him, it could be him. But whoever wins from that challenge or whatever it is you've set, that person will get to do it. For example, you have 3 straws. Imagine I've got 3 straws here. I cut one short and I keep too long, I put them in my hand where you can't see the ends of them, and I say pick one out. Whoever picks the short one out gets to play PlayStation. That's what they did here. That whoever draws the correct in the correct case, whoever draws the correct thing, that person will get to look after Maryam alayhi salam. So look at the precision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now. It's brilliant. And this is mentioned in Qasasul Anbiya. And it mentions here, Allahu Akbar, that فَطَلَبُوا أَن يَقْتَرِئُوا ذَلِكَ أَنَّ كُلَّ مِنْهُمْ أَلْقَى قَلَمَهُ مَعْرُوفٌ بِهِ ثُمَّ حَمَلُوهَا وَوَضَعُوهَا فِي مَوْضِعٍ وَأَمْرُوا غُلَامًا لَمْ يَبْلُغْ الْحُلْمَ فَأَخْرَجَ وَاحِدًا مِنْهَا وَظَهَرَ قَلَمُ زَكَرِيَّا عَلَيْهِ السلام. Allahu Akbar. So look at this, how beautiful this is. They all gather together, okay, and they all get one pen each. So they pick a pen up, everyone, us 5 here, we've got a pen, and we get this pen, and we put them together like this, and we put them in the corner of that room. And we get the brother at the end of the room, the one in the red hood, there, we get that brother over there, and we say to him, we want you to go and pick a pen up. Whichever pen you bring back, that person is going to look after Maryam alayhi salam. So that's what they did. And Zakaria, alongside the other people, they put the pens in a place where this boy wouldn't know. They told him where the pens are, and they said, bring a pen back, and he went and he brought back the pen of Zakaria. So he won. But what did they do? Look what kind of people you're dealing with, the Bani Israel. You give them what they want, they're still not happy. What did they say? What do you think they said? Yeah, Zakaria, go on, you go and look after him. No. They said to him, no, do it again. So look at this. He mentions, فَطَلَبُوا أَن يَقْتَرِئُوا مَرَّةً ثَانِيَةً. They said, let's draw lots again. It's not fair. So when you lose to your brother and you don't get to play PlayStation, they said, no, let's draw lots again. It's not fair. Let's do it again. When you lose, when you toss the coin and it lands on heads and it's not tails, and you don't like it, it's not tails, he said, go on, give me another chance. Best of two. So they said to Zakaria, after he's already won, come on, let's draw the lots again. So what did they say to him this time? بِأَن يَلْقُوا أَقْلَامَهُمْ فِي النَّهْرِ فَأَيُّهُمْ جَرَى كَلَمَهُ على خلاف جريه في الماء فهو غالب فكان كلم زكريا هو الذي جرى على خلاف جريه الماء وسارت الأقلام مع الماء. So listen to how beautiful this is now. So now they decide that what we're going to do is we're going to get these same pens that we got and we're going to put them inside a river. And remember, when you have a river, what's happening? The water's pushing with the current, isn't it? The water's all going in one direction. Water's not doing this, is it? It's not doing all that, is it? The water's going in one direction. So they decided now that whichever pen goes against the current, think about what I'm trying to say to you here. The water's pushing this way, but whichever pen goes against the current, okay? So imagine you're inside of a wave, you're inside the sea, and the current of the water is pushing you this way. How is it possible that you can go that way? It's not possible because the current's too strong. So they said whichever pen goes against the current will choose that person. And it mentions here that after the فَأَيُّهُمَا جَرَى, which pen will it be? فَكَانَ كَلْمُ زَكَرِيَّا هُوَ الَّذِي جَرَى عَلَى خِلَافِ جَرَيْهِ الْمَاءِ. And you find that what happened was the pen of Zakaria alayhi salam was going against the current. So again a second time. They couldn't reject it. This was the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you think they said then? What do you think they said?
Let's try again.
Yeah, honest to God, that's what they said to him. They said, Marra thalitha. Let's do it again, third time. So, you've tossed 2 coins already. Your brother's going to play PlayStation tonight, but you don't like that he's playing PlayStation, and you want to play, so you say to him, please come on, give me a third chance. Okay? So, look at this now. And they say here, ثُمَّ طَلَبُوا مِنْهُمْ أَن يَقْتَرِئُوا ثَالِثَةٌ. Then they say that, look, we want to do it again a third time. We want to draw lots a third time. فأيهم جرى كلامه مع الماء وتكون بقية الأقلام وقد انعكس سيرها سعدا فهو الغالب. Then they said, okay, how about we do this then? Whichever pen, and now look, they're trying to do it in their favor. They think they're clever. They think they're funny. Okay? Just imagine, okay, you toss a coin, and there's only one side to the coin. And what do you say to somebody? TK, if it lands on heads, I win. If it lands on tails, you win. And you know there's no tails on the coin. It's just blank side. And you toss the coin and it's heads. You're going to win. So that's what they're trying to do to Zakaria. They're trying to put him in a position where he can't win. But look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how he works here. They say to Zakaria alayhi salam, they say, how about we put the pens in the water now? and whichever one goes with the current, that person will be the one to look after Maryam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused all their pens to go against the current and Zacharias to go with the current. Allahu Akbar. So you find it here as well. فَكَانَ زَكَرِيَّا هُوَ غَالِبْ لَهُمْ فَكَفَّلَهَا إِذَا كَانَ أَحَقُّ بِهَا شَرْعًا وَقَدْرًا. Allahu Akbar. And you find that it was Zachariah who was entitled to then look after Maryam alayhi salam. But what's the message here? What's the lesson? That we want to make it relevant, don't we? No point in me telling you a story, but it doesn't relate to you in any way. What's the point of doing that? So how can we take a lesson from this? We take a lesson, and this ayah, I've mentioned it how many times to Ustad Khalil today. I must have said it about 15 times, he must be sick of me. But I've said to him, وَمَكَرُهُمْ وَمَكَرُ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. They plan and Allah plans. But who's the best of planners? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that in your life today, whatever you're planning on doing, okay, or whatever anyone's planning on doing against you, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. And you know what else? I'll tell you something a bit personal, okay? And I only do this, right? And people, sometimes people say to me, you shouldn't get too personal because, oh, you know, it's not good, doesn't look good. But you know what? With personal experiences, people can properly reflect, people can truly understand and they can feel it and they know how it feels. So, I'm quite young, to be honest. I can't say exactly, but I'm in my early 20s. So, whenever a person like myself, and I'll be honest, I've been studying for the last 10 years or so. Since I was around 12, my parents have put me into an alim course of this nature and that nature. I spent time at Jamia Karam, but this not need to big myself up now, okay? But alhamdulillah, I've studied for enough time whereby I feel as if, you know, at some point you got to say you're qualified. So when you have a young imam or a young aspiring scholar, it's often very difficult, you know, when you get into masjids for them to take you seriously. Honestly, this is the honest truth, and this is coming first time. You may have now heard this before, but it's very difficult for young imams to get into a masjid. And you know the reason why often they say to you, they say, you're a junior imam. You don't really know what you're doing. Honestly, that's what I've heard. And you'll probably hear them laughing, because that's what the kind of things that certain committee members will say to you. Not all of them, because alhamdulillah, I'm a full-time imam, I'm a head teacher as well. So alhamdulillah, things are going good. But if you get in the wrong groups, things don't work for you. But I'll be honest, at one point it got so bad, and whichever place I would go, they would just say, no, you're too young, it doesn't work. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to leave this, I'm not going to do this anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 9-to-5 job, and I'm going to leave my books for a couple of years, and when I'm 27, 28, 29, 30 years old, I'll come back and I'll start teaching again. And I applied to every 9-to-5 job you can think of. Call center this, call center that, supervisor this, supply teacher this. Wallahi, I got rejected from every single job. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's people who I know who don't have GCSEs get these jobs, but I'm getting rejected. I'm saying, Ya Allah, how am I getting rejected from these jobs? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَكَرُهُمْ وَمَكَرُ اللَّهِ. You plan, they plan, and Allah plans. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. But Allah's the best of planners. Allah didn't give me them jobs. He said, no, these are not good enough for you. You become the imam of your local masjid. And that's what I am now. But if I got one of them jobs, wallahi, I wouldn't be here today. That's the honest truth. And it's the same thing that they tried to plot against Zachariah. But it didn't matter. You plot all you want. Do what you want. You can't go against whatever Allah's decreed. You can't go against what Allah's decreed. And that's the first stage now. So you had Zachariah alayhi salam, who is now suddenly in charge, okay, of looking after her. And the Mufassirun mentioned, وَقَالَ الْمُفَسِّرُونَ اتَّخَذَ لَهَا ذَكَرِيَّا مَكَانًا شَرِيفًا مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ لَا يَدْخُلُهُ سَوَاهَا كَانَتْ تَعْبُدُ اللَّهِ. Okay, the Mufassiris mentioned that Zachariah, he built a specific place in the masjid for her. So imagine you got this masjid, he built a separate room for her in the masjid, in the temple. And how did he make this temple? He made it in such a manner, and he made this room in such a manner that no one else, لا يدخله إلا سوى, except only she could enter that room. So this wasn't a room that anyone could just walk in. You know, generally what happens is, you'll have, before you take, and this is quite funny to be honest, and they say, Imam Sahib, in the masjid, this is your room. And you'll find that as soon as the langar is being distributed in the masjid, that room becomes everybody's room. No, that wasn't the case with this room. This room was only for Maryam alayhi salam. Okay? And the only person who entered in this room was Zakaria. Why would he enter though? He would enter to make sure if everything was okay. Have you got enough food? Have you got enough water? Are you warm enough? That's why he would enter the room. But no one else would enter except for him. That's why they waqaffalaha Zakaria. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that it was him. It was a prophet who was looking after her. Was she a prophet? Was Maryam a prophet? No, it's not possible. A woman cannot be a prophet. An-nabiyyu insanun zakarun hurrun salimun an munabbirin. A nabi, a messenger, can only be a male. So she wasn't even a prophet. Yet a prophet was looking after her. Look at the maqam. Allahu Akbar. Look at the maqam. So, and this is something that he mentioned, Imam Khalil, Allahu Akbar. But this is so brilliant. So after making this special place for her, إنه كان نبي الله زكريا كلما دخل عليها موضع end of the page ibadatiha. Okay, so here and there, every time when Zakaria alayhi salam, he used to enter into the place where she used to be worshipping, which was in her room, يجد عندها رزقا غريبا. Okay, he used to find with her a weird types of food, and ajib types of food in front of her. And not weird as in like he's never seen them before, but ajib types of food, meaning it wasn't meant for that season. It wasn't supposed to be there. Why is it there? And who's bought it? That's what he used to see. فَكَانَ يَجِدُ عِنْدَهَا فَاكِهَةُ السَّيْفِ الشِّتَاء وَفَاكِهَةُ الشِّتَاء فِي الصَّيْفِ فَيَسْأَلُهَا. And what he used to do is, he used to go in the summertime, but he used to find winter fruits. And he used to go in the winter time, and he used to find, so he used to go in the winter and he used to see mangoes there. You know, today, if you went home today, and your mom had ready for you a plate of mangoes cut up, what are you going to say to your mom? Mom, forget the mangoes. Which shop is supplying these mangoes? Because these are definitely not these are not from the UK at the very least. So this is what Zakaria said, one of the miracles of Maryam alayhi salam, that she had these fruits which are out of season in front of her. So he asks her, and he says to her, that Anna laki haza. And then what does she say? That are these for you, or where did these come from? And then she just says, min indallah. These are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala khairul raziqeen. He is the best of providers. So regardless of your situation, yes, you're in seclusion. And I'm not saying that if you kids decide today you're going to go to, for example, Jami Al-Karam and studying in boarding school, yeah, you're going to probably have to eat from time to time your roti with your dal. Because that's what we had to eat when we were there. You'll also get your Friday chawal with gosht, which is probably the best chawal I've ever eaten, even till this day. And I have to apologize to my aunties. But you'll get wonderful food there. And you'll also get food which you don't enjoy as much. But it doesn't mean if you go to boarding school tomorrow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to start putting ajib fruits inside and fruits which are out of season in your room. No, this was a miracle for Maryam alayhi salam. Okay? So this was the situation that Maryam alayhi salam was in. As in she was in this masjid. But from time to time you'd find that Maryam alayhi salam, she would leave this masjid also. And she would go outside. And there was two reasons for this, as mentioned. وَإِنَّمَا تَخْرُجُ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ فِي زَمَنِ هَيْدِهَا أَوْ لِحَاجَةٍ ضُرُورِيَّةٍ. So she would leave for two reasons. Maryam alayhi salam, she would leave the mosque for two reasons. The first one was because she was in the midst of hayd. So it wasn't permissible for her to be inside the masjid. Okay? And the second reason was because sometimes she had a general necessity, meaning she had to go and get something. Maybe it was something personal she needed. Oh, and it mentions here, لا بد منها من استقاء الماء أو تحصيل الغداء. Meaning sometimes she had to actively go out and get some water. Meaning every time you're not going to get food and water from God. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. And so sometimes she actually needed to, and maybe Zakaria wasn't there, or maybe he was there providing, but at times she had to leave the masjid to go and either get food and water. Okay. So one of these days now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of this in the Quran. As she left the masjid, and she leaves the masjid now, and she's going to collect her food, her water. Is in taba'at, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, meaning when she withdrew, أي انفردت وحدها شرك المسجد الأقصى إذا بعث الله إليها الروح والأمين الجبريل عليه السلام. So one day when she leaves the masjid, and she goes alone towards the eastern direction of Masjid al-Aqsa. Okay? Jibreel alayhi salam, he appears in front of her. You remember, you're walking today and suddenly something appears in front of you. You're not even going to stand there for 1 second, you're going to run the other way screaming, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa la ilaha illa ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm. That's what we're going to do. Allahu Akbar. All your 6 kalimah, you forgot them now, but when the jinn appears in front of you, you'll remember them. Yeah? That's what happens. Yeah? When something appears in front of you, that's it, you remember. You get scared. Allahu Akbar, Ya Allah, help me. When you're not scared, no, you don't want Allah there. Okay? So, straight away, فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. And he came in front of, so Jibreel alayhi salam, he appeared, or Jibreel, you can say both with Jibreel or Jibreel. He appeared in front of her, but he took the form of a man in front of her. Okay? And after taking this form of a man, فَلَمَّا رَأَتْهُ, and she saw him. Meaning it's a man in front of her. Why is he in front of, why is a man in front of Maryam alayhi salam? She hadn't even seen any man in her life, only Zakaria as a prophet. قَالَتْ إِنِّي أَعُوذُ بِالرَّحْمَنِ. Indeed, I seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from you. That's what she says, I seek refuge from you. But what does she say? مِنْكَ بِالرَّحْمَنِ مِنْكَ, I seek refuge from you. إِن كُنْتَ تَقِيًّا. If you are someone who's God-fearing, meaning don't harm me. If you're someone who's God-fearing, then don't harm me. That she was afraid, she didn't know who this person was, though it was Jibreel alayhi salam. So, after seeing this, what does Jibreel alayhi salam, he says, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَنَا رَسُولُ رَبِّكَ. Indeed, I am a messenger from your Lord. He tells her that don't worry, I'm Jibreel, I'm in the form of a man, I'm just merely a Rasul, I'm a messenger from your Lord. لَأَهَبَ لَكِ غُلَامًا زَكِيًّا. So I can give you a glad tidings, لَأَهَبَ, meaning I can give you. Meaning he's a sabab. Okay? Though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's giving, and this is just a bit of a technical thing, though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is giving, he's saying that I am going to give to you a child. That's what he's saying to her, that he's seen her, he said, I'm a man, I've come, I'm an angel, I've come as a messenger to you, and I'm giving you a message from God that you're going to receive a child. And this is what Jibreel alayhi salam, he informs her. So straight away, as soon as she's been told this, and she's baffled by this, she's baffled, like, how is it exactly that I can receive a child? No man has ever touched me. And these were the verses which were recited before. وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ وَلَمْ أَكُنْ بَغِيًّا. No man has ever touched me. And I'm not a woman who's going to go sleeping with people. I'm not like that. And then, so she says that how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to do that? And the verses of the Quran further clarify to mention that this is easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kun fayakun. Allah wants to create, He'll create it like that. And there was something here which was really brilliant that I wanted to mention. Really brilliant. And the point was that under this verse, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wanted to make a sign for the people. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to make a sign? There are different types of creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many different types of creation. Okay? From amongst these types, فَإِنَّهُ تَعَالَى خَلَقَ آدَمْ مِنْ غَيْرِ ذَكَرٍ وَلَا أُنْثَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created Adam alayhi salam, but He created Adam without a mom or a dad. Did Adam alayhi salam have a mother? Who's Adam's mother? You tell me, any of you here in the front row, tell me who's Adam's mother? Adam alayhi salam, the first creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is his mother? He doesn't have a mother. Who is his father? He doesn't have a father. So Allah can create out of nothing. That's the first type of creation. Allah can create without anything being there. He created him from turab. Then you have وَخَلَقَ حَوَّى مِنْ ذَكَرٍ بِلَا أُنْثَى. And then He created Hawa from Adam alayhi salam, meaning He created Hawa, the wife of Adam, from Adam without the use of any female. Allahu Akbar. So He's created in one occasion without a male or a female. He's created in the second occasion Hawa. And how has He created Hawa without the use of a female? Just with a male. وَخَلَقَ عِيسَى مِنْ أُنْثَى بِلَا ذَكَرٍ. And He created Isa alayhi salam without what? A male, but just with a female. So if He can create Adam out of nothing, then what's the difficulty of creating Isa with just a female? And then if you look, وَخَلَقَ بَقِيَّةُ الْخَلْقِ مِنْ ذَكَرِ وَأُنْثَى. Then He created the rest of us from a male and a female. Right now it would be a jeep for somebody to come and say, yeah, okay, I just have a mom. Yeah, maybe because his dad, maybe he's passed away, maybe he's left him, maybe as the reason, it's not. But these kind of things, these are meant as signs for the people. They're meant as indications for the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَخْلُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ, He'll create how He wants. He doesn't need, there to be this particular ingredient. Allah can create out of nothing, just as He created Adam out of nothing. So, Jibreel alayhi salam, there's many different variants as how this took place, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to go too much over time. I'm not even started on Isa alayhi salam, we're nearly hitting 6 o'clock. So to be honest, I did put around 13, 14, 15 hours into preparing this. So I came well prepped, alhamdulillah. That's why I could go on probably till about 8 o'clock. But I'll try my best to put this, to speed this up inshallah. So Jibreel alayhi salam, eventually he blows upon her, and she becomes pregnant. And she's expecting now a child. And when the signs started to show a man who we know today as Joseph, and he was who? He was the son of the maternal uncle. He was the son of her maternal uncle. So he was one of her cousins. Joseph was one of the cousins. Okay, and he saw her, and he knew what kind of a person Maryam alayhi salam was. He knows she's pious. He knows that she's never been out of her house, out of this place, only goes for necessity. She's provided, she's a muttaqi person, she worships Allah. So he's absolutely confused. How is she become pregnant? Meaning it's inconceivable. How can suddenly become pregnant? How can that happen? So he goes up to her, and he says to her, Ya Maryam, هل يكون الزرع من غير بذر? That can a plant grow without a seed, O Maryam? That's why he asks her. He asks her this question: can a plant grow without a seed? So you don't have a seed, can the plant grow? That's why he's asked her. And Maryam alayhi salam, she said, Na'am, فَمَنْ خَلَقَ الزَّرْعُ الْأَوَّلِ? Yes, then who created the first plant? Of course there can be a plant without a seed, because who created the first plant? Then he said, ثُمَّ قَالَ فَهَلْ يَكُونُ الشَّجَرُ مِنْ غَيْرِ مَاءٍ وَلَا مَطَرٍ? Then can a tree grow without rain and water? That was the next question. And she said, قَالَتْ نَعَمْ فَمَنْ خَلَقَ الشَّجَرَ الْأَوَّلِ? Then who created the first tree? Yes, it can't be created like this, because who created the first tree? ثُمَّ قَالَ, and then Joseph says to Maryam alayhi salam, he says to her, فَهَلْ يَكُونُ وَلَدْ مِنْ غَيْرِ ذَكَرٍ? Then is it possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create a person without the use of a male? Meaning, can a son be born, or can a girl be born, or a daughter be born, or can a child be born without the use of a father? And then she declares, وَقَالَتْ نَعَمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَلَقَ عَادَ مِنْ غَيْرِ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى. So indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forget without a male, Allah created Adam without a female and a male. What are you talking about? Okay, this was the response that she gave. And this is brilliant, this next part. I have to mention this, Allah Akbar, I have to mention this. وَذَكَرَ السُّدِّي بِإِسْنَادِهِ عَنِ الصَّحَابَةِ. And this is a report by As-Suddi, and his narration and his chain goes back to the companions. And they mention, أَنَّ مَرْيَمْ دَخَلَتْ يَوْمًا عَلَىٰ أُخْتِهَا فَقَالَتْ لَهَا أُخْتَهَا أَشْعَرْتُ أَنَّ حَبْلَ فَقُلْتُ مَرْيَمْ. We'll just stop there for now. So, Allahu Akbar. So one day, Maryam alayhi salam, she entered, the sister of Maryam alayhi salam, she comes and she meets Maryam alayhi salam. So the sister of Maryam comes to meet Maryam. And she's meeting her and she's talking to her, and she says to her, Ash'artu anna hubla. I feel that I'm pregnant. I feel that I'm expecting a child. Right now today, if you're expecting a child, you go to doctors, they'll tell you straight away. We've got tests to do these things. In them times, there was none of this. So she says, I feel that I'm pregnant. فقالت مريم شعرت أيضا, I feel the same way as you. So she sat with her sister saying, I feel the same exact way as you. أنا حبلى فاعتنقتها. And what did they do after they told one another that I feel pregnant, and she said I also feel pregnant? They started to hug one another, meaning out of joy and happiness that they both experiencing this. Okay, for example, you and your friend, what happens? You go home, you're playing FIFA Ultimate Team. Okay, you both pack Neymar. Okay, you pack Neymar, he packs Neymar. You come together to one another and you say, boys, we've smashed it. I packed Neymar. Bro, I packed Neymar as well. And you do high five. So it's this emotion that I'm feeling pregnant. I'm also feeling pregnant. So they've hugged one another. And then as she's hugged him, وَقَالَتْ لَهَا أُمِّ يَحْيَا. She was the mother of Yahya. She was the mother of Yahya, the sister of Maryam alayhi salam. And you know what she says? إِنِّي أَرَى مَا فِي بَطْنِي يَشْهُدُ لِمَا فِي بَطْنِكَ. Allahu Akbar. I feel, O Maryam, that whatever is in my womb today is making sajda to whatever is in your womb today. Allahu Akbar. Whatever is in my womb, Allahu Akbar. So Yahya is making sajda in the womb to Isa alayhi salam. That's what she said, I feel as this is happening right now. And this wasn't a sajda of worship, by the way. Just before anyone says, oh no, sajda of worship. No, this was a sajda of ta'zim. Just as the malaika made sajda to Adam, it was never a sajda of worship. The malaika, the angels, were not worshipping Adam when they made sajda. They just did this to show the superiority of Adam over the angels, of humankind over angels. Similarly, the superiority of Isa alayhi salam over Yahya. Allahu Akbar. Beautiful. Honestly, when I read this a couple times. So, this is a good point. I like this. So, news started to spread that Maryam alayhi salam, she became pregnant, and some mention that it was Joseph actually who was the father of Isa alayhi salam. Another claim to them, and this is only a small group of the Christians who mention this, that he was the earthly father, is that if you're saying that Joseph was the father of Isa, then the father of Isa is also God. So does that mean Joseph is God? And if Joseph isn't God, does that mean he has two dads now? Who the hell has two dads? So is God his dad and Joseph is his dad? It doesn't make sense. So this is, it makes more sense for somebody to say it's possible that Zachariah is the father, because he was the one who was there. وَكَفَّلَهَا Zachariah. It doesn't make sense to say Joseph. So Joseph being the father of Isa alayhi salam, no one accepts this. This is not considered. And that was, I think, one of the points which was mentioned on the poster for the itinerary. So Joseph is not the father. And we proved that by saying that he had no way of contact, no form of contact. And he already thought of her of being muttaqi. And there's narrations of him asking her, how did you become pregnant? And if he was the one who impregnated, then why would he ask? What's he doing asking her? Why are there reports? So it could not have been him. It's impossible for it to have been him. It could only have been Jibreel alayhi salam, as reported in the Quran al-Kareem. So news started to spread, and eventually people started to confront Maryam alayhi salam. And after confronting her, I'm just going to push on a little bit forward to try to get to this part. They started to say to Maryam alayhi salam that you have given birth to a child, or going to give birth to a child, but how is it happening? And in the midst of this childbirth and difficulty, actually I just want to put this in there quickly, because I think that I can make this quite relevant to everyone. Whether you're older or younger, it makes sense. That when Maryam alayhi salam was experiencing this pregnancy, and she was going through the pain of pregnancy, because you have a whole another being inside of you, so it's difficult. It's very difficult, isn't it? So we would never know. But if you ask your mothers today, if you ask people who have been pregnant, they'll tell you. So she was going through this difficulty, and as she's going through it, it's so difficult that it drove her to the trunk of a tree. And she's holding on this trunk of the tree. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it says here, actually in the Quran al-Kareem, فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا, she heard a voice from underneath her. And it's reported that the Mufassirun, they say that this voice was the voice of Isa alayhi salam. And what did he say? He said, oh mom, be easy, and shake the tree that's in front of you. And what will happen? Food will fall from it, dates will fall, and eat these dates to get comfort. Sometimes when you're feeling upset, what do you do? What do people do when they're going through difficulty, depression, hardship? They eat. They keep eating. And why? Because it's a source of comfort. So he says to his mother, eat something from this tree, shake the tree. But what did Isa alayhi salam, what was this voice that she heard? Where was this voice? What was the voice saying to her? No, wait, you just sit there and the food will come to you. And those people who say, oh, risk is from Allah. Yeah, risk is from Allah. But is Allah saying to you, sit at home and watch TV and watch Pakistan versus India? Is that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to you? No, Allah is saying that Maryam was already going through pain, and then she was told to shake a tree trunk. Imagine, you've got pains in your stomach, and then you have to push a large tree to get the fruit. If you get conker trees today, when we were a bit younger, we used to get conkers, put them on a shoelace and play with one another. Then they changed it to sparia. I don't know if that's what they call them. You have to drill a hole in them. My granddad used to do it. And we used to play with them. And just to get the conkers, I get to throw dande at them and sticks at them. And uncle, he's probably khair. And some of the uncles here probably can relate to me as well. So alhamdulillah, I was from that generation also. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when this voice comes to her saying to her that, shake the tree, she was already going through difficulty, but even whilst going through difficulty, it's being said to her that shake the tree because you're not going to get anything unless you do something yourself. Meaning in your life today, risk is from Allah, but if you don't go to work, you're not getting paid. If I don't, if I don't go work tomorrow, yeah, Allah say, yeah, I'm sick. They'll give you sick pay, but eventually your sick pay must end. So it's the same thing. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, if you want your camel to stay with you, you must tie your camel. You can't just leave your camel and have yaqeen in Allah. Yaqeen comes from tying the camel, then having faith that Allah will keep the camel protected for you. Okay? So that's the lesson that we take from this pregnancy of Maryam alayhi salam. It's not just a story, we take lessons from it. That's what the purpose of this mahfil is. So, when she was experiencing this, it was said to her that actually, oh Maryam, when the people confront you, tell them I'm fasting. And I'll tell you why this is so important, because when me and you fast today in Ramadan's coming soon, and someone was telling me, in 2030, we're going to have 2 Ramadans in 1 year. We're going to have one in January and one in December. So good luck. If we are alive, still then Allah give us all long life, inshallah. Then we're going to experience 2030, apparently 2 Ramadans, so looking forward to that. What is fasting? Fasting is imsak min al-shurb, wat-ta'am, and also wal-jima'. So it's abstaining or staying away from eating and drinking and any type of intimacy. Okay, and intimate relations. That's what fasting is for Muslims. But also, in the time of Isa alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam, what fasting was for them? It was these 3 things alongside muhadasa. They were not allowed to speak. So when the people came to Maryam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them that, listen, when they come to you, just say to them, I'm fasting. And eventually, imagine people are in your ear. Explain to me, how did you get this child? Imagine, someone's mother comes home today and the husband has got no he doesn't remember at all, no recollection of the fact that he is the cause of his wife's pregnancy. What do you think he's going to be like? He's not going to stop doing that. He's going to say, listen to me, where the hell have you got pregnant from? So that's what the people are like. How have you got pregnant? How have you got pregnant? So, and she's going through this, and all she's saying is that, I am fasting. I can't speak. Until eventually it becomes to such a point and such a situation where she just points to the baby. And he mentions here, فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. And she points towards the baby. And the people, they say back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and they say back, كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ سَبِيًّا. How are we supposed to speak to a baby in the cradle? Are you mad? You imagine you saying, where did the baby come from? And you're just doing this. They're saying, how are we going to speak to the baby? Is the baby going to start speaking? Allahu Akbar. And you see here, then Isa alayhi salam, one of the miracles from his birth, he starts to speak. And he says, قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. And look at the precision. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. Indeed, I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what he mentions. Okay? So, after hearing this, they all realized that actually this is something of miraculous nature. This is something that was gifted to Maryam alayhi salam. And sort of the message now is of Isa alayhi salam's birth takes place. He is born. The people in the who were originally pressuring her to answer, they got the answer from the baby themselves. And this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Quran that was put, meaning remember Isa, the favors we've given to you, when you were able to walk. And other than, forget all the other miracles we're talking about. We're talking about the miracles of when you were able to speak while you were a baby. Which other child can do that? Which other child can speak at birth? When you're at the age of 1 or 2, we get excited when they start saying, Dad, Mom, Mom and Dad are fighting. Which one's he going to say first? Is he going to say Dad or Mom? And then you got your granddad saying, no, he said Dada, and they say Dad. So that's the kind of things that we're dealing with. But Isa alayhi salam, he's just a few minutes old and he's already speaking. Qala inni Abdullah. Indeed, I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَجْعَلْنِي نَبِيًّا. He has sent me as a what? He sent me as a messenger. And what the messengers were sent at that time was Tawheed. And remember what I said to you, that Musa was the messenger who came similar to the time of Isa alayhi salam. Couple 100 years before that. And his message was to the Bani Israel. And if you look, the Bani Israel at that time, their understanding of religion and their understanding of monotheism was a distorted version. And we were just talking actually with Ustad Abbas and Imam Khalil as well, regarding the issue of Tadseem. And Tadseem was the issue that the Jews, they wanted, and they understanding, yes, they believe in one God, but they always want something. You know how Muslims, for example, we can't see heaven and hell, but we believe in it. But we're never going to start saying to Allah, Ya Allah, if you don't show me heaven and hell, that's why I ain't believing anymore. But the Jews were actually like that. They said to Musa after he split the sea, imagine Musa splits the sea, he destroys all the magicians, he shows them a hand which is made of light, all of these great miracles, and this was what the purpose of messengers was. Kharqul Aada, Allah would grant them miracles in order to further reinstate and prove the message. So he would send them all these great things, and still, what did they say? Narallaha jahratan. We want to see Allah directly. Show us Allah directly. So this was the kind of ideas that Isa alayhi salam was coming into, as in that what the people already had in their minds. They had the seamy ideas in their minds. They had things in their mind which were khilaf of Islam, khilaf of the oneness and the true reality of Tawheed. So this is when Isa alayhi salam obviously starts to get into preaching and starts to tell people and calling people towards the Tawheed. So pushing on from that, we have around 20 minutes or so, and I wanted to mention regarding now inshallah the life of Isa alayhi salam, that Isa alayhi salam, he was granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala many miracles, many great miracles by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yubri'ul akma wal abrasa, he was capable of curing the person who was blind. Imagine being born blind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that he was able to cure that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that Isa alayhi salam was able to cure the person with a skin disease. And you know what's fascinating, even, and I can't find the actual section here, maybe if I scroll back 1 2 pages I may be able to find it, but there was a brilliant passage here that I wanted to mention, but for some reason it's not coming to me. So I'll have a quick look. If I can find the passage here, I'll mention to you, otherwise no. But I remember it anyway, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the messengers, and this is brilliant, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he sent Musa, when he sent Isa, whichever prophet he sent them as prophets which were relevant to them people. So in the time of Musa, what was prolific in that time was magic. So a lot of them were excited about the magic. And if you read the battle of Fir'aun and Musa, what was the battle? It was the battle of the snake, when the staff turned into a snake. And you had 1,000 magicians in front of Musa. They threw their ropes down and all of the ropes turned into snakes. Musa, for a second, he felt fear. He dropped the staff, turned into a big snake and destroyed all of them. And all of them magicians fell into sajda. You just heard a thud and they all accepted Musa alayhi salam. So Musa was sent in the time and he was given miracles which opposed those magicians and those people who excelled in that. So they were magicians, that's what they were known for, they were proud magicians. But Allah sent greater miracles even than these magicians. And the moment these magicians saw it, they straight away accepted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how Musa was sent. When you look at Isa, why was Isa alayhi salam sent, being able to bring the dead back to life and blow life into nothing? Isa alayhi salam used to make clay figures of birds, blow in them and they used to fly. Allahu Akbar. This was the nature of Isa alayhi salam. But Allah sent Isa alayhi salam to a people who were proud of their healing factor and are proud of the way that they had medicine. So they had medicine, they could cure this, cure that. Isa alayhi salam could do certain type of miracle which were against the norm. Meaning there is no medicine which exists today that can cure a blind person. But Isa alayhi salam could do that. And they knew the moment they see this was something which they could not understand. This was something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, at that time he sent them to a proud nation of Arabs. And what were they proud of? They were proud of their language. And they used to write poetry and put it on the Kaaba. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the greatest miracle, the Quran. And that when the people, they read Surah Fatiha, Surah Kawthar, when they read these types of surah, what did they say? This is not the words of a human. This is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them messengers who were relevant to them with relevant miracles. Relevant miracles. So this miracle here, ثم قال ابن أبي دنيا. It's been narrated from Ibn Abi Dunya and Fudayl ibn Iyad, from Fudayl ibn Iyad قال قيل لعيسى بأي شيء تمشي على الماء. O Isa, how can you walk on water? O Isa, how can you walk on water? قال بالإيمان واليقين. I can walk on water because of my certainty and my faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how I can walk on water. قالوا, and they said, the disciples and the companions of Isa, they said to him, فَإِنَّ آمنا كما آمنت وأيقنا كما أيقنت. That we believe just the way you believe, Isa, and we have certainty just the way you have certainty, meaning we're the same. So I should be able to walk on water, is what they're trying to say. So what does Isa alayhi salam say? He says, Famshu Ida, then come and walk. If you think you can walk on water, come and walk with me. So, قال فامشوا معه في الموج فغرقوا. Then they started walking with Isa alayhi salam upon the waves of the river, on the waves of the ocean. They started walking with him. And what happened? They started drowning. And what did Isa alayhi salam say? Isa alayhi salam says, Ma lakum? What's happened to you? I thought you had certainty like I had certainty. I thought you could believe like I could believe. Ma lakum, what's happened? قالوا خفنا الموت. We're scared of the waves. We can't walk on them, we're scared. قال ألا خفتم رب الموت? رب الموت? Are you not scared of the one who created these waves? Are you not afraid of him? Why are you afraid of the waves? Be afraid of the one who created them. قال فأخرجهم ثم ضرب بيده إلى الأرض فقبض بها ثم بسطها فإذا في إحدى يديه ذهب وفي الأخرى مدر أو حصى. After they eventually came up, so imagine this to be like you're on the beach, okay? You go into the river and you go into the ocean. After you come off the ocean, you're back onto the beach. So when they go back onto land, Isa alayhi salam, he took a handful of the earth, and as he took a handful of the earth, in his hand appeared some gold, and in his hand appeared some pebbles. And he said to them, which one of these two things in my hand, the gold or the pebble, is more glorious to you? Which one is more beautiful to you? That's what he asked him. So after he'd taken a scoop of the gold, a scoop of the pebble, a scoop of the earth, and that appeared in his hand, he asked him, which one's more beautiful to you? Which one do you love more? فَقَالَ أَيُّهُمَا أَحْلَى فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. Which one is more beloved in your heart? قَالُوا هَذَا الذَّهَبُ. Meaning, they all turned around, the companions, and they said, we prefer this gold. And what did Isa alayhi salam say? He said, فَإِنَّمَا عِنْدِي سَوَى. Both of these things are the same to me. This gold or dirt, whatever it is, these are the same to me. When you walk upon water, when you bring people back to life from the dead, when you blow into clay and you become something, only can you achieve these kind of ranks when you think of nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was the nature of Isa alayhi salam. And this was the way that Isa alayhi salam was. So no one can match him. You can't match Isa alayhi salam. Your level of certainty can't match his level of certainty. Your level of belief can never match his level of belief. Look at the way he was born. Abdullah, indeed I'm the servant of Allah. He spoke that at the moment he was born. How can your faith match his? It can't. So, inshallah, I think I've left enough time to cover this next one. But the very famous story, which will inshallah conclude us nicely, the story of Ma'idah. So you find in the Quran al-Kareem, very close to Surah Baqarah, Surah Ma'idah. And what is this story that's mentioned? سأل عيسى ربه عز وجل أن يجعل رحمة ولا نقمة وأن يجعل بركة وسلاما فلم تزل. And what I might do is I might just stay away from the Arabic for a second. So Isa alayhi salam, in short, he commanded his people and he said to them, I want you to all keep a fast for 30 days. I want you to keep a fast for 30 days. So imagine I say to you today, Ramadan is coming, I want you to keep 30 days of fast. After Ramadan, what do we have? Well, that one special day, what do we call it? Eid, isn't it? So they said, oh Isa, we want you to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send down a table for us from the sky. And upon this table, we wanted to have some food and some drink and something like that to satiate us, to feed us. And because if Allah gives us this will give yaqeen to our hearts and we'll be certain Allah accepted our rozi. Allah accepted our rosé. Allah accepted our fast. Imagine today, you do something, you pass your exams, you come home. So all of you guys, you take exams tomorrow. Okay? You go to school, you pass your SATs exams. You pass your GCSE exam. You come home, your dad buys you the new PlayStation 5. What does that mean? Does that mean your dad's upset with you? No, he's happy that you passed your exams, isn't it? He buys you a new game, he buys you FIFA points. Okay? That means your dad's happy with you. So the same thing, they wanted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, look, whatever they do, they always want something. Sometimes we don't ask our dad for anything, but what do? We just hopefully he might give us something. And what happens? He just gives you something anyway. But these guys, they're asking directly. They say, no, tell Allah, give us this ma'idah. We want this table full of food and we want to be fed. So tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we fast it. If you want to show us that you've accepted it, please send it. Isa alayhi salam was shy. He didn't even want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until eventually he makes this dua. And he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And until eventually, he mentions here in the commentary, as I said, that I probably, it would be better if I stay away from the Arabic for a moment, so I can definitely finish this and cover as much as I can. Until eventually this table, it comes to a point where everyone can see it, and it reaches, and it is in front of everybody. So all of the companions, and there's a total of around about 7,000 people who have seen this Ma'idah come from the sky, the companions of Isa, 7,000 of them. And there's a veil on top of it, and he mentions here, Yakshifu, he unveils it, he takes the chadar on top of the table. And on top of this, you find 7 pieces of fish, and you find 7 pieces of bread. 7 pieces of fish, 7 pieces of bread. And after seeing this, they say to Isa alayhi salam, as in like the table's here, everything's happy. And Isa alayhi salam, he says to them, everyone come and eat. You guys, you asked for this, now come and eat. And what do they say back to Isa? No, we're not going to eat, we want you to eat first. They asked Isa alayhi salam for the table. They got what they wanted and they still don't want to eat. So Isa alayhi salam, you know what he does? He says, okay then, you guys don't want to eat, no problem. All you people who are unwell, who are sick, why don't you come forward? All those of you who are poor, come forward and you eat. It's reported 1,300 people who were unwell, they had some type of illness, disease, deficiency, they were poor. They came and they sat at that table, 7 fishes, 7 loaves of bread, and he was able to satiate every single one of them. Allahu Akbar. And they all left that table, not with, there was less food, they all left with their stomachs full, Allahu Akbar. All of them had full stomach. And not only that, Allahu Akbar, by Allah, every single one of them was cured from any illness that they had. This was the Ma'idah. And when people seen this, they became jealous. We should have eaten from that. Yeah, it's like someone offers you a choice, bro, here's a chocolate. And you say, what chocolate is it? I can't tell you what chocolate is, but if you want it, you can have it. Chocolate's nice, but do I want that chocolate? It might be off-brand. Shall I have it? You decide, yeah, I'm going to have it. You taste it's the best chocolate you've ever had. What is it? Dairy milk chocolate. Okay? It could be, whatever your favorite chocolate is, okay? So sometimes you've got to take the risk, and they took that risk, and they ate. And it was reported that actually this Ma'idah used to come down every single day. And people used to eat from this. 7,000 people used to eat 7 fishes, 7 pieces of bread. And maybe there was something else on top of it. I was supposed to read this from the commentary, but the other things escaped my mind, so I do apologize for that. And they were able to satiate themselves, meaning that they were full. When these 7,000 people used to eat from this table, they used to be full. They didn't used to walk away thinking, oh, I'm still hungry, there was less food. You know, as we do. We come for Langar Mahfal in Masjid, all of you, we grab 1 pakya of roti per person, and you walk away saying, but what do? You still manage to swallow 2 dunge for yourself. Yeah, you had to go to somebody, wallahi, the amount of times, yeah, that I've been to weddings. Honestly, I have seen Uncle D next to me, absolutely obliterate the southern dude. I'm thinking, I need some worship, but he's at table. And then after he's finished, nice dakar, and he says, Ya Allah, theek easy. Yeah, that's what they do. Theek easy. Like you just ate all of that, you know, we have khushi that you were served free food at the masjid, and that's why all people come today to the masjid, for free food. Okay? So be thankful that Allah fed you. Okay? So, eventually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look, you know, your life's not always cushy, is it? You know, sometimes your job's going well, and then sometimes what happens? You have a 4th key, you have to take a couple of days off, you have to go abroad, and you come back, you have to get back into that routine again. It's hard. There's always hard. Allah loves to test people. That's what this life is. It's a test of 5 things. So Allah wanted to test them. So He started taking away the Ma'idah, meaning it used to come on alternate days. It used to come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, every second day. And then eventually Allah used to send it once a week. And then Allah used to send it once a month. And then Allah used to send it once a year. Until it came to a point where Allah completely stopped sending it. And the people started to complain. And they started to complain against Isa alayhi salam to the king. And at that time, the king that's mentioned actually is further on forward. But this king, his name was Dawood bin Yura. Dawood bin Yura. Okay, so they started to complain to him that, oh look, we used to have this Ma'idah, we used to have this thing and that thing, and they started to go against Isa alayhi salam. So this is where it began. This is where it began. And what began? They plot to kill Isa alayhi salam, as in to crucify him and to put him on the cross and to kill him. That's what they started planning. But how did it start happening? They started feeling jealousy towards him, started feeling hatred towards him. Why was he blessed? Why could he bring the dead back? Why could he bring this ma'idah? Why did he get to cure the leper? Why does he cure this disease and cure the blind? Why is he receiving all of these barakah and not me? That's the kind of things that they were saying. So started developing deep hatred for him. Deep hatred for him. And because of this, they started to lie against him to those in authority. Until eventually, those in authority decided that they were going to take action. And of course, you think Allah is not going to protect His slaves? A slave who spoke when he was born that he's the servant of Allah, you think Allah is going to let him be crucified? What makes you think that He's going to let him be crucified? You ask the Christians this question. If he's a child who spoke that and he's someone who said that I am the servant of Allah, do you think Allah is going to let that servant who Allah gave the ability to speak as a child, let him be crucified? It doesn't make any sense. And this is a beautiful qissa, inshallah. لما أراد الله أن يرفع عيسى إلى السماء خرج. And I'm reading this from the Arabic now, so then you have conviction in your heart that I'm not making this up. That's why some parts I actually do spend reading some of the Arabic from the text. And I feel like on personal experience that it does give you conviction, and people are not just making up. I'm reading this from the book Qasasul Anbiya by Ibn Kathir. So it's not made up, I'm not just making this up. Okay, this is reliable, legit sources. So, to give you further conviction, and inshallah this will not take longer than a couple minutes before we finish up, inshallah. Just 5 more minutes if you can have a bit of silence from this side on the right, inshallah. I'm losing focus, I'm not able to concentrate. لما أراد الله أن يرفع عيسى إلى السماء خرج على أصحابه وفي البيت 12 رجلا منهم من الحواريين. So when Isa alayhi salam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended that He was going to raise him to the sky, remember they were plotting to kill him one day. They were plotting to come in his house to take him and to kill him. So Allah knew that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was intending to take Isa alayhi salam to the heaven now. Okay, so He entered into his house, and in his house there was 12 men, 12 rajulan. There was 12 men inside his house, and they were from amongst his disciples. Okay. فخرج عليهم من عين في البيت ورأسه يقطر الماء. So when he was in his house, he went for a quick bath, he went for a quick shower, and when he came out from this, and the men who stood there waiting for him, their hair was still wet, his hair was still wet, Isa alayhi salam's hair was still wet. And what does Isa alayhi salam say? He says, إِنَّ مِنْكُمْ مَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِي إِثْنَ عَشَرَةً مَرَّ بَعْدَ أَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ. That there are people from amongst you, or 12 of you, that you will disbelieve in me 12 times after you have believed in me. Meaning, you believed in me, but you will disbelieve in me 12 times after you've already believed in me, because of the falsehood that you have and these lies you created about me. ثُمَّ قَالَ, then he said to them, أَيُّكُمْ يَلْقَى عَلَيْهِ شِبْهِ فَيَقْتُلُ مَكَانِي وَيَكُونُ مَعِي فِي دَرَجَتِي. Allahu Akbar. He says to them, that which one from amongst you will take my image, which one of you will take my like, and not only that, you will be killed in my place, you will be slaughtered in my place, but you will be in my rank, meaning you will have the same rank as me in reward. Allahu Akbar. So which one of you 12 is going to take my rank? You're going to take my place, you're going to be killed. And not only you're going to be killed, the reward of that is you're going to be given my daraja. You're going to be given my rank, you're going to be given such reward. فَقَامَ شَابٍ مِنْ أَحْدَثِهِمْ سِنًّا فَقَالَ. Then a young boy stood up and he said, I will take your place. قَالَ لَهُ إِجْلِسْ. Isa alayhi salam said to him, no, you sit down, you're too young, you don't need to stand up. Why are you standing up? You sit down. ثُمَّ أَعَادَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Then Isa alayhi salam repeats the same question, which one of you is going to take my place? Which one of you is going to give your life away for me today? Which one of you is going to take my image and my face and my body, and then you will be sacrificed in my behalf? فَقَامَ شَابٌ فَقَالَ أَنَا. He stood up again, he said, أَنَا. فَقَالَ. Isa alayhi salam said to him, أَنْتَ هُوَ ذَا. Meaning, you are the one who will take my image then. فَأَلْقَى عَلَيْهِ شَبْهُ عِيسَى فَرَفَعَ عِيسَى مِنْ رُوزَنَةٍ. And then it's mentioned here, right at the end, that this individual, he took the place of Isa alayhi salam. And in other narrations, they mentioned that the shurta came, meaning the police at that time, they came and they took this individual out the house of Isa alayhi salam. And before they took him from the house, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took Isa alayhi salam from the window or the roof of this house and He took him up to the heaven. So that is the narration according to the Muslims, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised Isa alayhi salam to the heaven, either from the roof of this place or from the window of this place, of this house, and someone else took the image. And obviously there's many countless narrations that mention this, but I only wanted to mention this specific one. So he raised Isa alayhi salam to the sky. And then of course this individual, he was crucified and he was killed. And that sort of sums up your story of Isa alayhi salam, isn't it? Now obviously we come to the, what you would call the festive season of Christmas. And when you look at it, right, and the people often, they ask the question that is it permissible to celebrate Christmas then? You know, with all this in mind, are we allowed to celebrate Christmas? Can we do Christmas? Can we not do Christmas? If Imam Sahib says Merry Christmas, can I put fatwa on him? You know? So that's the kind of questions that we're often asked. The truth of the matter is that a lot of the older fatwas written on Christmas, celebrating Christmas, is that it's haram. The reason for it is because celebrating Christmas, okay, was a act done as a religious festival by the Christians. But if you look in today's day and age, in truth, a lot of the Christians will tell you that the reason why they celebrate Christmas is because Jesus, Isa, was born on the 25th of December. That's what they say. But if you ask them now, a lot of the Christians don't actually believe that. They don't believe that Isa alayhi salam was born on the 25th. So really then, why are they celebrating Christmas and why is this Christmas? So some sort of leniency, I suppose. The only thing you can't say in this regard is that, look, it's a day of Eid. That's what the Christians have made it to be. But Allah has given you better days. Allah said that every Yawm al-Jummah is Eid for you. So why do you want to celebrate Christmas? You want to do Secret Santa? On Eid you can do Secret Molvi. Yeah? You can get Christmas, your classmates on Eid day, you write down the names of each child, and why don't on Eid day you get one another present? Why do you want to do it on Christmas for? And the reason why I mentioned this is, you know, today, this Christmas, it's not really a religious thing anymore, I'll be honest. It's not, it's lost its value. So, you know, in times where it's difficult, for example, you're at work, and it's just, look, you live in the UK, you live in England, you've got to be realistic. Your work colleagues, they're not Muslim, you're the only Muslim. They're all going and they're going to do Secret Santa. They're all going and they're going to do what? They're going to have a Christmas party, obviously within means. Not that, oh, they're going to start doing, have sharab there and you're going to start drinking with them. No. In these kind of things, then it would be, some scholars would probably say, yeah, in cases like that, maybe so long as you don't believe it to be a religious occasion or anything, then maybe you could partake in it. The leniency could be there. But in reality, my own opinion would be to try your best to avoid these kind of gatherings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us plenty in Barakah. Allah has given us the 2 days of, the days of Jummah as Eid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given us the days of Eid themselves, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha. So, why do you want to do Eid on the 25th of December? You got 2 weeks holiday, just enjoy them as your entire Eid. Okay? What's the difficulty there? Anything else have I left unturned? I'm just trying to think, untouched. I don't think so. I don't think so. But alhamdulillah, I've enjoyed this. This has been a good talk. It's been really good to research this also. I guess the only thing I can mention is that I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed everyone to take some sort of benefit with them today. If I made any mistakes, I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me and forgives my sins. We all do make mistakes, but whatever good we do is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, allows us to embark on this path and to learn the true reality of the messengers. All of them, not just the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all of them are equally as important for us. Of course, being our focus centerpiece, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us for our sins, our shortcomings, and allows us to have taken benefit and to pass away on the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Shukran, jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.